Well, with the weather as it is at the moment, I think one thing that often springs to many of our minds is going on holiday. So I'm actually going to talk about holidays now. Although we all enjoy going on holiday, I'm sure we all like different kinds of holidays. I'm actually going to tell you about the kind of holidays I like. But first, I'm going to talk about the holidays I don't like. What I really don't like is the typical touristy holiday. A beach holiday to me is my idea of boredom. Complete and utter boredom. Half an hour on a beach and I've had enough. I want to get out of there. Seriously. And the other thing I don't like about that kind of holiday is all the tourists. I don't understand, why would you go on holiday to another country only be surrounded by other British people? This is really missing the point, somehow, to me. And the other thing, well, one thing everybody can agree on about holiday is, of course, the weather. Now, as I said, I'm not a fan of beach holidays, so I don't actually care if it's not 30 degrees and sunny every single day of the holiday. I actually like a bit of variety in weather. I actually like English weather, believe it or not. But having said that, obviously if it's like freezing cold and there's like 10 inches of snow, or if it's like so hot you can't walk down the street, then that's not a good thing. So I always make sure when I'm going on holiday to pick a good time of year for that particular destination, so it's not too hot or too cold. So having talked about what I don't like on holiday, I'll tell you what I do like. Now, when I go on holiday, what I like to do is immerse myself in the local country and the local culture. To me, it's not just a holiday as in escape from, say, my work or my day-to-day life. It's an escape from this country and my life totally, and experiencing a different way of life. And the three things I look for when I'm picking a holiday are landscape, a different landscape, because obviously when you first arrive at a destination, the first thing that hits you is the landscape, and immediately sets a completely different mood. From the grey streets of London and then to a sunny beach, even though I've been putting down beach holidays, immediately you have a different atmosphere there. So I like to see an exotic, different landscape that's completely different from what I'm used to. And as well as the natural landscape, I'm also interested in the artificial landscape, the architecture. I mean, every single country has its own unique architecture. Certainly you get influences from one country to another, but even so, no one's going to mistake a Greek house for a Japanese house. There's no way to confuse the two, and it's part of that country's identity. Now, of course, another important part of a country's identity is the people. Now, if you go to continental Europe, the people you meet there are not going to be that different from who you meet in England, apart from, obviously, they speak a different language, although in most cases they speak English as well, which is very handy. But certainly if you go to the Far East, or South America, or Africa, you're going to meet very different people. And the more remote country you go to, the more different the way of life you're going to experience.
I've got my Barack Obama auto cue, just in case I need it. Some of you may or may not know that I'm from Australia. How am I? So much for the suspense there. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Australia. Firstly, not many people know, but Australia's a very large country. People think that it's big, but it's not much smaller than the United States. There you go. What else have we got? Australia is a very, as I said, it's a very large country, and it's a very high country, in top to bottom, which means it gets a very big differences in the weather. So south it's not humid, but it's quite wet. Up north it's very humid and it's quite wet. And I've seen Australia being wet. You guys have been. It is very tropical up north. But where I'm from in Melbourne, everyone says it rains too much. Sydney, it actually rains more, but it's warm. So the Sydney side is thinking it's about a place that I'm not sure about that. Stereotypes. You probably all have this vision in your mind of Australians as someone like Paul Hogan, these blokes. Yeah. I had to leave it at Heathrow when I arrived. But no one gets those unless you're really out in the country. Backpackers in London, fair enough, there were, before the pound was went, there were about 400,000 Australians and New Zealanders London, and some of them have this. Some of them don't promote Australia in the best way, shall we say? And
That tells more.
that, well, that's not really my thing. You know, I've always the most people I've shared a flat with was one, as opposed to some of my friends who knew of other people who the only spare place in the whole place was actually the bath. And someone actually they had to take turns for someone to sleep in the bath. But I'm not sure that's confined to just Australians. But lots of people come into London, which when you arrive, it's a pretty expensive place to be, and you make do, don't you? If you're out drinking a lot, and as some people do, I'm saying. You know, surfers, one of the other Australian, say, icons. It's not always true. I grew up in a city. It has got beaches, but I've never surfed in my life. Something I need to do one day. The reason this is funny is I'm reading the words and not reading the pictures. I'd like to talk about some unique things about Australia as well. The food. The food has changed a lot in my lifetime. And when I was brought up, we had things like lamingtons, which is probably, for me, if somebody said, what's Australian food, I think of a lamington. It's a sponge, 2 pieces of sponge cake put together with some jam, and then you make this chocolate mix, and you put all sides, so it's a bit like a big Rubik's Cube sized thing, covered in chocolate, got jam in the middle, and then you, after you've put it in chocolate, you put it in, you throw coconut on the top of it. It's quite nice. Yeah, I've got my time, so
People spoke about information, if you like. Other people spoke about themselves personally. Other people spoke about aspects of their lives, where they're from, that sort of thing. The point I'd like to make just here is that it is very, very quick to pull together a talk or a speech using a memory map. I have literally sat in debates, debating clubs, and pulled together a 5-6 minute speech just from sitting there, but just by using a memory map. And normally people sit there and they agonise for ages about sort of producing a speech. You can sort of take days over it. But with a memory map, it's just like nothing. You can just really quickly put it together. So I've tried to give you a flavour of memory mapping. What I've done today is a condensed version of a 3-hour workshop that I usually run. So this is a 45-50 minute version of it. There's a lot of other aspects of memory mapping as well. Couldn't really get to them. But if you want to, you can go and join the Speaking Well membership site there, which explains all about memory maps and also other aspects of speaking as well. So thank you for having me. I know Toastmasters are not supposed to say thank you, are you? But thank you for your time and to listening to me, and I hope that you've really gained something out of that today. Thank you.